Good morning everyone, I am Muhammad Usman Ayabas from Accountancy 1G, and today we're gonna answer a bunch of problems regarding bank reconciliation. So first, problem 2-12 IAA. Sabre Company provided the following bank reconciliation on January 31 of the current year. So 300,000, bank balance, deposit and transit, 600,000, and 900. Total of the outstanding checks, 460. You deduct that to 900,440, and then this 440 will serve as your beginning balance, which you will add to the difference of this cash receipts and cash disbursement journals. So 6,900,000 minus 4,500,000 is 2,400,000, and then you add the 440,000 in order to get the the unadjusted balance per book for February 28. And then we look for the credit memo. So this one, credit memo here is 270,000. Service charge is 5,000. That's the debit memo here, so 5,000. Then if you add and subtract that all up, you will end up with 3,105,000, which is our adjusted balance per book. And then for the balance per bank, the unadjusted balance per bank is 3,265,000 derived from here. And then the deposit in transit is right here. Wait. Ano yung ibalik? Deposit in transit here. February 28, 450,000. Then here, it's not reflected in the bank statement, so therefore that's a deposit in transit. So that one. Then we get the outstanding checks. Check 116, 60,000. Wait. Check 240, 240, 160, 160, 200, 900, 800, 500, 550, 180. So in order to speed this up, the outstanding checks are 60,000, 180,000, 120,000, and 250,000. So bakit sila outstanding? Kasi they are not, you cannot see the values here. So itong mga ito, like other than those checks mentioned before, like check 118, 900,000, you can see 900,000 here, so reflected siya. So yun yung ating outstanding checks. So 610,000, you deduct that to the total of 3,265 and the 450 to get 3,105,000. So that's your adjusted balance per bank. So balance siya. And then for the adjusting entries, cash in bank 270,000, bank service charge 10,000. So bakit ganun? So here, in order to see it clear, the face of the note, the interest on the note, the maturity value of the note, the collection charge, and the credit to the account, 270. So ayun, 270 cash in bank because it was credited to your account. Bank service charge of 10,000, which is this one. Then notes receivable of 250,000 because that was the face value. And then interest income of 30,000 because that was the interest on the note. Then next question, next problem 2-13, Carefree Company bank reconciliation as of March 31, 20XX. So unadjusted balances. So unadjusted balance per book is 1,405,000 derived from this. Then the credit memos are the collection of note, that's a credit memo, interest on note, that's a credit memo, and the book error, which is here. The check 175,249 was the correct amount, but the cash disbursement journals it as 294,000, which is a overstatement. So, therefore, nag-overstate ka ng disbursement, meaning, sumobra yung bayad mo, ibalik nila sa'yo yung sobra. So, 294 minus 249, that's 45,000. Then, here, 45,000. So, 2,500,000, 50,000, 45,000 for a total of 2,695,000. And then, you add that to the unadjusted balance per book in order to get your total of 4,100,000. Then, the debit memos, the bank service charge, less debit memo of bank service charge 5,000, payment for light and water 245,000, NSF check of 220,000 for a total of 470,000. Then you subtract that in order to get your adjusted book balance of 3,630,000. And then the deposit in transit, bank 5,630,000, deposit in transit of 750,000, which can be located right here. This one, the March 31 deposit, and then that's a total of 6,380,000. Then outstanding checks of 1,650,000, and the erroneous the bank error of 1,100,000. So that's a total of total of 2,750,000, which you will deduct to the previous total in order to get 3,630,000. Then for the adjusting entries for Carefree Company, so cash in bank, this one, notes receivable, interest income, accounts payable. So, bakit may accounts payable na 45,000? That is from the book error, and the interest income is from the here, interest on note. Then the note receivable of 2,500,000, that's from the collection of note. Then cash in bank is 2,695,000, the total of the credits. Then bank service charge 5,000, light and water 245,000, 220,000 for accounts receivable. So this is like your what do you call this, the debit memos. So this one, bank service charge 5,000, light and water expense 245,000, and the accounts receivable of 220,000 from the NSF check. So cash in bank 470,000. Bakit NSF check to galing? Kasi whenever a check bounces, the amount in your bank will be deducted because the check bounce, meaning there is insufficient funds in order to para bayaran yung deposit na amount sa account mo. So it's only natural that whenever a check bounces, then you will get accounts receivable from that person again. Then next, 2-15, Virgo Company Bank Reconciliation as of January 31, 20XX. So the balance per bank is 3,500,000. Wait, let me get the balance per bank is 3,500,000. Yes, 3,500,000. Then the deposit in transit is 550,000 from the collections on January, undeposited, yun yung undeposited collections. So another term, or maybe something you can add to your knowledge, is that deposit in transit can also be called undeposited collections. I learned that from a YouTube video. What am I doing? So, 2-15, Virgo Company Bank Reconciliation as of January 31, 20XX. So, the balance per bank is 3,500,000, which is derived from here, stated. 550,000 for deposit in transit, the undeposited collections. Then, NSF check of 50,000. NSF check received, so returned by the bank on February 5, this one. Then, the debit memo for safe deposit box, this one. Then, the unrecorded check, this one. Total of 730,000. Add that to the unadjusted balance per bank to get your total of 4,230,000. Then, you deduct your outstanding checks and your credits. So, creditor's check and the customer's check. So, outstanding checks of 650,000 here. Then overstatement of creditor's check right here. It was overstated as 300,000. So therefore, you get the difference. Then you subtract it from this. Subtract it from your total, the previous total, and then the understatement of customer's check. So 200,000 was recorded by the depositor as 20,000. So therefore, you will get the difference, then subtract it from the total, previous total, in order to get your balance per book na 3,130,000. Then, adjusting entries for Virgo Company. Cash in bank, 450,000, 270,000 accounts payable, 180,000 accounts receivable. So, accounts payable, galing ito sa overstatement of the creditor's check. Then, yung accounts receivable, galing siya dun sa understatement of the customer's check. Tapos, itong accounts payable, accounts receivable, 50,000. Wait, let's read the entry first. Accounts receivable, 50,000. Bank service charge of 5,000. Accounts payable of 125,000. And cash in bank is total, which is 180,000. So, the 125,000 here came from the unrecorded check. Kasi, if hindi mo ma-record yung check na need mo i-pay, you will still have the liability. So, in order to recognize that liability, na na-reconcile naman dito, put the adjusting entry here na may accounts payable ka na 125,000. Then, sa bank service charge, this one, for the safety deposit, debit memo. So, you just received the debit memo. So, wala pa yun sa books mo. Kailangan mo i-record. Tapos, yung 50,000 na NSF check, same din. Ngayon mo lang din nalaman, kaya need mo din i-record sa books mo. Yun. Then, next, kay still Virgo Company, just to see the adjusted book balance. So, balance per book of 3,130,000. The overstatement of creditor's check of 270,000. The understatement of customer's check of 180,000 to a total of 3,580,000. Let's double check with the calculator. 230 is 270 plus 180 equal to 3,580. Okay. And then we get the debit memos, the NSF check, and the unrecorded check. Total is 180,000. Then you subtract that. You subtract this to your previous total. So you will get a total of 3,400,000, which will be your adjusted book balance. And now for the next question or problem, 2-16, Beta Company Bank Reconciliation as of December 31. So, the balance per book is 2,700,000. So, it's stated here. Then, the proceeds of bank loan, 940,000. This one. The note collected by bank, 435,000. This one. The service charge of 10,000, which is this one. and the customer's check of 50,000, which is this one. So you add the proceeds and the note collection in order to get 1,375,000. You add that to your balance per book in order to get your total of 4,075,000. And then you add the service charge and the customer's check, and you subtract it to the previous total in order to get your adjusted book balance of 4,015,000. Then next is the balance per bank. So the balance per bank stated here is 4 million. And then you have deposit in transit of 475,000. The incorrect deposit of 90,000, which is stated here. And the erroneous bank charge of 150,000. This one, not 250, 200,000 rather, sorry. Then you add all that and you get a total of 915,000. You add that to the 4 million and you get a total of 4,915,000. And then you subtract the outstanding checks and the erroneous bank credit. So 600,000, which is here, outstanding checks, and the erroneous bank credit of 300,000. So bakit mo i-subtract yung 300,000 sa total mo? Kasi it's erroneous bank credit, meaning the bank credited it to you by mistake, so therefore that amount was never yours in the first place. So therefore, in order to show your true balance na walang sobra, na hindi sa'yo, therefore you need to correct the error by subtracting the amount deposited to your account by mistake. So with that, you get the adjusted bank balance of 4,015,000, which is in line with the adjusted book balance. And now here, the adjusting entries for Beta Company. Cash in bank, 1,375,000. Bank service charge, 5,000. Interest expense, 10,000. So where did the interest expense come from? So it came from $60,000 times 1/6, which is 10,000. And then this came from the proceeds of bank loan, by the way. And then the prepaid interest expense of 50,000. And then loan payable of 1 million. And then note receivable of 400,000. Interest income of 40,000. Note receivable, it came from the face value of the customer's note collected by the bank. And the interest income came from the interest with the note. Then the loan payable, it came from the proceeds of bank loan. Same as this one, the interest expense. Okay, next, 2-17, Susan Company, bank reconciliation as of August 31, 20, XX. Balance per book, 1,300,000. Add the overstatement of check 765. So, it should be 50,000 written here. So, sumobra siya ng 20,000. Then, check number 555, stop for payment, 10,000. So, total nun is 30,000. You add that to that 1,300,000 to get 1,330,000. Then, you get your debit memos. So, ayan. Service charge of 5,000. NSF check of 85,000 in order to get 90,000, which you will subtract to your total, previous total. Then, the adjusted book balance will be 1,240,000. The balance per bank is 1,200,000. The deposit in transit is 275,000, which comes from this one. The total would be 1,475,000. And then you get your outstanding checks, the 761, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get the total, 235,000. You subtract it from the previous total in order to get your adjusted bank balance of 1,240,000. So for the adjusting entries, here, cash in bank of 30,000, accounts payable of 20,000, miscellaneous income of 10,000. So where did that come from? It came from the bank reconciliation earlier, where there was a overstatement. This was the overstatement, and the check when check number 555 was stopped for payment because the payee cannot be located, then you had a miscellaneous income of 10,000. So miscellaneous income kasi it's a bizarre way of gaining income, so it falls under miscellaneous. Then bank service charge 5,000, accounts receivable 85,000, cash in bank 90,000. So bank service charge, this one. The NSF check became accounts receivable kasi the check bounced. Then cash in bank 90,000 was credited because the 85,000 was removed from your account, then naging accounts receivable siya dun sa payee mo, and then the 5,000 was charged to your account, therefore subtracting 5,000 to your balance. Then receivable from cashier 40,000, accounts receivable 30,000, sales discounts 10,000. 30,000 and 10,000. So bakit receivable from cashier? Kasi the cashier bookkeeper had misappropriated 30,000 and an additional 10,000. So 40,000 was misappropriated by the cashier. Accounts receivable of 30,000 and sales discount of 10,000. So instead of ang ginawa ng cashier dito is naglagay siya ng sales discount, tapos nag-credit siya ng accounts receivable para makuha yung 10,000. Tsaka 30,000. So yun, that is under theft. So receivable from cashier. The cashier will be liable to pay the amount that he stole. Then 2-18 Pearl Company Bank Reconciliation as of July 31, 20XX. Pearl Company maintains a checking account at the Citibank. The bank provides a bank statement along with canceled checks on the last day of each month. The July bank statement included the following information. July 1 balance is 3,200,000, deposits of 8,600,000, checks processed 7,500,000, service charge of 50,000, NSF check of 150,000, and a monthly loan payment deducted by bank from account 500,000. So the balance per book is 4,290,000, which is stated here. The book error is 180,000, which can be seen here. Can be seen here. 200,000 July deposit from was recorded by. Okay, so this is an error, book error. So that's a book error of 180,000. And then this one, total is 4,470,000 less the service charge, NSF check, and monthly loan payment. The monthly loan payment is 500,000 stated here, NSF check of 150,000, and a service charge of 50,000. So those are your debit memos. So total of 700,000, you subtract that to your total, previous total, in order to get your adjusted book balance of 3,770,000. Next, for the balance per bank, the unadjusted balance per bank is 3 million, wait, 3,600,000. Then the deposit in transit is 400,000 from this, the difference of that, 86 minus 75, 1,100,000. Never mind. The deposit in transit came from this one rather, I'm sorry. So deposits outstanding total 400,000. All checks written by Pearl Company were processed by the bank except for check of 500,000. So this one is a deposit in transit, 400,000 deposit in transit. Then the bank error here is this one, 30,000 was incorrectly processed by the bank as a 300,000 peso disbursement. So therefore, the bank has to correct the error and give the account 270,000 pesos. Total is 670,000, and then add that to the unadjusted balance per bank to get your total of 4,270,000 less your outstanding checks of 500,000, which comes from here. All checks written by Pearl Company were processed by the bank except for check of 500,000. So this is the check. Then the adjusted bank balance should be 3,770,000, which is the same as this one. Then the unadjusted bank balance of Pearl Company, July 1, 3,200,000, deposits of 8,600,000. Wait. Deposits of 3,200,000, 8,600,000, disbursements of 7,500,000. So those are the checks processed. Service charge of 50,000, NSF check of 150,000, monthly loan payment of 500,000 in order to get the unadjusted bank balance 3,600,000. Yeah, ito explanation for this one. Bakit siya 3,600,000? Then 2-19 Divine Company Bank Reconciliation as of December 31, 20XX. So the balance per book is, wait, need to zoom. Balance per book is 2,830,000. Balance per book is 2,830,000. Then you add the note collection of 200,000 and the interest on note of 15,000, which are stated here. 15,000 interest. Then the 200,000 which is here. So face value is 200,000, then interest of 15,000. That's why the total is 215,000 right here. So you add that to the unadjusted balance per book in order to get 3,045,000. Then you subtract the checkbook printing charge of 5,000, the book error of 35,000. So where did that book error come from? It came from this. It is stated that there was a book error made by Divine Company in recording check issued in December worth 35,000. Then an NSF check of 100,000. Then you get the total of those. Then subtract it to the previous total in order to get your adjusted book balance of 3,895,000. Then for the bank's POV perspective, the unadjusted bank balance should be 2,800,000. The deposit in transit is 195,000. 195,000. And you add that to get your total of 2,995,000. Then you subtract your outstanding checks of 100,000 to get 2,895,000, which are the same. The adjusted book balance and the adjusted bank balance are the same, meaning we did our job, I think. Then the adjusting entries for Divine Company: cash in bank 200,000 debit, notes receivable 200,000 credit. So this one, this is the face value of the note, and this is the cash in bank. And self-explanatory. The interest income, this is the interest on the note. The service charge, debit because it's a debit memo, and it subtracts cash from your bank, so credit ang cash in bank. Then accounts payable 35,000, cash in bank 35,000. So this one came from the book error, so nagka-error ka ng worth 35,000, overstated. Therefore, the bank will correct that overstatement by deducting 35,000 in your account. And you will have an accounts payable of 35,000. Then, accounts receivable of 110,000 and the cash in bank of 110,000. This came from the NSF check. So, pag bounce ng check, na-credit yung cash in bank. Tapos, naging accounts receivable na siya sa POV ng book or ng company. Wala na yung bank dito. Hindi nakasali. Then, sa 3, what amount should be reported as cash in bank on December 31? So, my answer is C, 2,895,000. And then, what total amount of cash should be reported on December 31? So, the answer is C, 3,445,000. So you will get that amount by adding the cash items and cash equivalents. So the total is 3,445,000. Then for the last problem, 2-20, Boracay Company, bank reconciliation as of December 31, 2025. So the balance per bank is 8,525,000. $8,525,000. Then the collection of the note is 950,000. 950. Then deposit of place in banks. This one. 935 plus 15,000. So the value is 950 but it's only 935 here kasi na-deduct na yung service charge ng 15,000 which we will go on with later. So the service charge of 15,000, it came from this. The book error of 45,000. Book error of 45,000 came from this. Then Boracay Company erroneously recorded a payment of an account for 183,000 as 138. So subtract, get the difference, 45,000. Then you put that on your debit memos. Then NSF check 250,000. So bounce check. Bounce check siya, no? 250,000. This one. And kasali sa debit memo. Service charge, debit memo yan. 15,000. This one. So, get the total, 325,000. Subtract it to the total of this one. So, you will get 9,150,000. Then, the balance per bank naman, for the bank's POV, you get the unadjusted balance per bank, which is 8,470,060. 8,470,000, not 60, 70,000. This and this one stated here, bank statement balance. Then you add your deposits in transit. So 950,000. Bakit? It came from this one. A deposit of 950,000 placed in the bank's night depository on December 29 does not appear on the bank statement. So what could that mean? In transit pa yung deposit na yun. So yun, i-add mo siya dyan in order to reconcile your balance. And then the outstanding checks, 270,000. So here stated na siya. So it's not hard to find. Then you add, subtract in order to get 9,150,000, same as the adjusted balance per book. Therefore, the bank reconciliation is correct. Then for the adjusting entries, cash in bank of 950,000, error sa pagsulat ko. Then notes receivable of 950,000. 950,000 was the face value of the note. Then if service charge for the note and cash in bank of 15,000, kasi nga binawas itong service charge na to dito. So if gawin natin siyang compound, maging 950, 935 15. This is the cash in bank. This is the service charge. And then the notes receivable of 950k. So that's the explanation kung bakit yan. And then accounts payable of 45,000, cash in bank of 45,000. So this one came from the book error earlier. So instead of 183,000 ang disbursement, it was recorded as 138,000. So it was an understated disbursement. Therefore, the company will owe the understated amount. So in this case, 45,000 yung kulang. So the company will owe that amount to the to its creditor. So, yun. 45,000, cash in bank 45,000. Mababawas yung cash in bank na 45,000 doon sa accounts payable, mapupunta siya sa accounts payable. And then accounts receivable of 250,000. Wait, hindi ako mapakali dito. So, itong 45,000 debit, cash in bank credit, kasi nabayaran na yung 45,000. So, nung pag-release ng bank statement, doon mo palang nakita na, yun, you just discovered that the check written in December for 183 was recorded as 138. So, therefore, in your books, hindi mo na-record na 183,000 yung payment. So, sobra ng 45,000 yung balance per bank mo dun sa iyong journal. And then, sa cash in bank, mababawas kasi nga, yun, na-pay mo na yung accounts payable. And then, accounts receivable of 250,000, cash in bank of 250,000. So, this one came from the NSF check. So, ayun. Ito siya. 250,000, 250,000. Mabawas yung balance sa account mo kasi nga nag-bounce yung check na natanggap mo. And then, dito sa service charge, 15,000, cash in bank, 15,000. Ayun, na-charge ka ng bangko, bawas yan sa account. Siyempre, makakredit yung cash in bank mo. So, mababawasan. Then, number 3, what amount should be reported as adjusted cash in bank on December 31? So, the answer is letter A, 9,150,000. And, bakit? Kasi, ito, yung pag-solve kanina. And then, number 4, what amount should be recorded as net adjustment to cash in bank on December 31? So, D, 625. So, bakit 625,000? So, ibabawas mo lang yung adjusted bank balance, which is 9,150,000, doon sa unadjusted balance per bank mo na 8,470,000 para makuha mo yung mali. Doon sa 852 pala. 8,525,000 para makuha mo yung net adjustment to cash in bank on December 31. So, ayun nga, common mistake yung nagawa ko kanina na binawas ko siya sa balance per bank porque cash in bank yung nakalagay. Pero ang tandaan nyo dito sa number 4 kay net adjustment to cash in bank on December 31, ang hinahanap dito ay yung POV ng book. So, syempre, hindi naman nag-a-adjust yung bank. So, minsan nag-a-adjust sa mga error. Pero dito, mostly, sa mga questions, ang hinahanap talaga dyan is yung POV ng book. So, ayun. Ibabawas mo yung adjusted balance mo